Hi, good morning, brothers and sisters. This is Mary Hernandez with Genesis Kingdom. I had mentioned in one of the past videos, as far as like dry bones, and I never really, I read it. I used to have it in my prayer list, but along this journey, people help themselves to my stuff. So I would lose a lot of the notes and I would have to write again, visions. And I had it on there, but I never really thought about what the message said, you know? So I thought I'll pick it up. I still didn't. I still want to do more study on each one of them, but I wanted to have a message to you here Wednesday morning um, at 11, like I said I would. I was late the last two times, you know. But with that being said, it's about the dry bones. And I'm still doing further study in it to find out more, You could get each Bible verse and then just put the meaning of the Bible verse, like you read it. And then you get like the meaning, like saying, hey, I don't understand what this word. I Google names. So Rexy was a very hard one for me. And so it's learning. You're learning. You're learning on your calling the same way I'm learning. I used to have people tell me, well, what do you do? I said, I'm preparing for my ministry. And they would say, well, that doesn't pay, I said, what do you do? I said, you go to college, you go to high school, you start high school, some GED, some college, but you study. Are you getting paid while you're in school? No. But it's preparing you for what it is that you were destined to be and destined to do, So that's what I was doing. I said, but the payment was bigger than what I thought. And that was to save me and to save you, to save your soul, to save this world. Is the message that's worth more than any money in this world, So does people value money, material? But if you look around what's going on in the world, you realize that that's worth more. Gucci wear and all that is good. But right now, that's not going to matter, And you just got to remember that, You just got to put your trust in God, our Father, Jehovah, and know that He will lead us in patience, He will bring everything to pass. He knows. He knows the time. He knows the day. I believe one of them says like he's like a thief in the night and he's going to come, like just like that. So our message is to keep you going. You know what I'm saying? Stay on your P's and Q's and keep it going, not to give up, for you not to lose hope, because I have to keep me going, I have to keep me going. And I wanted to send a message out like, I think it's Jake's and Miss Stephanie and Pretty Boss. Like, I hear some of them say, hey, don't put out there this message or that message because, everybody, spiritual warfare is different. They got to know that they made a difference in my life. They made a difference in my calling, in my hope, in everything in my journey. They were a big influence in me, because sometimes when we read the Bible and we understand it and then we hear them, they bring it to life. When you get on here and you testify and say, hey, I went through this and I'm going to tell you this is how I dealt with it. Yes, your situation might be different, but then it's going to teach you, hey, you know what? She's seen through it. You know what used to get me a lot? It was the fact that they said he's the God that walks before us. That means he already went the day before us. That means anything that comes at us, he trusted in you that you would get through it. You got to remember, the enemy's going to fight for our soul. They want us in sin because we're going to perish, because the end time is here. The end times are already here. Our decisions and what we're doing now in life has a lot of effect in how our outcome is going to be. So of course they're going to sit there and try to tempt you in any way to go back into the lifestyles that we used to have, that I used to have. But my kids are worth too much to me. My Father Jehovah is worth too much to me. You know, they're my fire. My future is my fire. My husband, my calling, my high calling in Christ Jesus, that I've been chosen. Why am I going to give sin the upper hand? That's the devil's way. That's pathway to hell. Why would I want to lose my soul? Why would I want to gain an inheritance and then have it perish in hell in a lake of fire? Why would I want that? You know, I know in my heart what heaven started, heaven will finish. And this is the reason why. And I want them to know, like Jake's did one in the crushing. And it helped me, like I said, because from the very beginning, I knew I was destined for greatness. I knew I was chosen for my Father. He was doing signs and miracles for my family way before this happened. I felt him. When you feel that mighty rushing wind, you're going to feel your hands. They shake to the core. That's the mighty rushing wind that you just feel him and you're all like, I feel God in me. I cannot explain it. My kids witnessed that. But because of sin, we lost our light. You know, we were in darkness. Even though we were in darkness, he was with us. But we had to gain it. We had to gain it back. And gaining it back is doing everything that he asked us to do. 10 Commandments. Shun evil, shun sin. You know, that's very important right now. You know, and I want them to know, Mr. Jakes, he had a big influence in me, and Franklin, Fortek, you know, they inspired me. You know, they made me look up even when I was feeling down. I'm not lying. I'll be laying on the bed reading the Bible. You know, I could say that it was almost like you lose hope, you know, and it's okay to say it because he knows, you know. And then I would hear one of their message and it's kind of, I would sit up, I'll start worshiping and praising. You know, they kept me going. You guys kept me going. You made a huge difference. You made a huge difference in my calling and in my walk with my Father. And though we walk through the valley of shadow of death, I fear no evil. And I knew I wasn't the only one that was going through that. But I knew I was standing strong in his promises. And yes, I had weak days. Yes, I have days that sometimes you think, man, I'm not hanging out with nobody. I'm not doing anything. But what does that matter? If you go have some drinks with some friends or go sin, what is that going to matter? That I'm going to lose my soul? You know, my babies are worth too much. My Father Jehovah is worth too much. I love him. And he has kept me alive and he has maintained me in this journey. And I am not going to let him down. He didn't let me. He didn't give up on me. You know, he hasn't given up on you. He hasn't given up on you. He loves you guys. You know, and he loved me first and he loved you first. He loved each and one of us. We were anointed before we even knew it. I didn't even know what it meant to be chosen. I knew I was chosen, but I didn't know, and I had to learn the Bible, you know. But Ezekiel 37, it says, the hand of the Lord was upon me and carried out the Spirit of the Lord and carried me out in the Spirit of the Lord. He set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones. It caused me to pass by them round about, and behold, they were very many in an open valley, and lo, they were very dry bones. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And though I answered, O Lord, thou knowest. You know, I did a little bit of research to get a little bit more deep to explain it to you. You know, dry bones is kind of, it's a symbolic vision of the restoration of our dry bones. The multiple meanings is the restoration to life and the restoration of the land of Yahweh, our Father, our King Jesus, the covenant with his people, with you and with me. So there was a lot of dry bones. A lot of us walk away from our calling. A lot of us lost our soul in this because of sin. So it was a valley of dry bones. Your dry bones, my dry bones. You know? So with that being said, I also looked it up, and they had some, I call them bullets. You know, like when you do a resume and you put bullets, you know, in your resume. And I wrote down a couple. There was like about maybe 8 or 10 of them. But here's the one that really spoke to me because, you know, everybody seems to know, but yet they don't know. They don't know. You know. I know what I went through. You know, but God sends our angels to lift us up when we're feeling down. The messengers, the pastors, the coaches, they're all a huge difference in our lives. I told you, even like when it seemed like the whole world was against me, I would have this beautiful lady who says, "Oh, I like your shirt. Hey, I like the way you have your hair combed." You know, little things at the time that we might have seen it like it was nothing. I noticed it because I had a lot of people that just hated on me, you know, and that wished bad on me and wished death upon me, you know. Yeah, I was like, why? You know, a lot of things still don't make sense, but I pray for them, you know. And here I had a beautiful, beautiful woman of God, and I know it was an angel, because it should be like, you know, hey, they say little things, you know, just to lift somebody up, to make a difference. Those are sowing seeds. You know what I'm saying? Like, you happen to be walking into 7-Eleven, not advertising, so please forgive me if I get in trouble. I rebuke that. Say you walk into 7-Eleven, you know, and you see somebody, rather it's a little baby, young, old, medium age, anybody, and you happen to hold the door up for them, you know, that's sowing seed. You know, seed is the smallest thing. People think it always has to be about money, because if it was, I don't have money to give. You can make a difference. Somebody could be having a bad day, you know. And I had showed my ex, like we had walked into a gas station, you know, and I would walk up with the cashier and I'll be like, "Hey, beautiful." And she thought, "Hey," you know, you understand that little something kind of, you know, so it could be having a bad day, but in that moment you say something and it pivots. It pivots the whole outcome of somebody's day. You know, the smallest things that it means a lot to somebody, you know. And in that midst of the darkness, I'll never forget her. I seen her just right before I got here, you know, and she was still complimenting me, you know. And I was all like, wow, that's cool. Like, thank you, Father. I was like, hey, and this is like at the very beginning of my journey. And then she starts telling me, you know, that her car got towed, and so she was having like one bad thing happen to another, you know. And I prayed for her, you know. I prayed that God makes a way for her, you know. That I noticed her even the first time that she said something nice, because it was in the midst of the darkness with everybody like coming against me, you know. And here it was somebody just beautiful, you know, like not caring what people say, not being a follower, but being her own person. Being your own person. Do you have to walk with the crowd? Because if you have to walk with the crowd to make a difference with somebody, then you're not leading. You know what I'm saying? And I remembered her, and when I seen her again, like right before, I was like, hey. But I didn't know if I was allowed to let her know that, you know, God sent her my way. I didn't know that. But I noticed that from the very beginning, you know, and I was like, that's cool, you know. It's the smallest things, you know. Now, the bullets that I have here for you. Number 1, stop waiting for the world to help you. Because the world's not going to help you. God is going to help you. You're going to make a difference in your calling, in your situation, in your whole thing. I could have easily had went out and try to act like I was normal. But I have changed. I wasn't the same person anymore. I had a lot of making up to do to my father. I had everything to prove to him. My children, my calling, my husband. You know, we were lost souls out there. And I understand him. And I even understand the people that were coming against me. You know, I have forgiven hard. You know, anybody else would say, why are you still holding on to your husband? You know, because he was a lost soul the way I was lost. I just happened to find my way, you know, sooner. But God didn't give up on him. He would tell me, you pray for him. You pray for your children. You pray for us. Pray for the world. And I stood focused on that, you know. Did the enemy try to tempt me? Oh, yeah. But I didn't know then at the beginning of this journey, but I know now, and I grew in it. I said, no. Not my calling, my Father Jehovah, my kids, my future is too important for me. You know, I pray for a lot of them. You know, I even pray for the people that wanted me dead, you know, because we're in the business of saving dry bones. Dry bones is the people that were out there. You were dry bones at once, but now you're here and you made a huge progress. And remember that when sin seems good, it's the enemy. It's not God, because it wants your soul. We're at the end times, you know, and that's why he's saying no sin, no sin. King Jesus died on that cross, never committed a sin. And that's all he asked. The 10 Commandments is not that hard. You read the Bible and it tells you the do's and don'ts. I don't remember off the top of my head. Exodus 20, the 10 Commandments. You know, but there's also another one I'm going to look up. And I think I do have on here. But God, our Father Jehovah, is the one that's going to help us. You know, the enemy just uses other people, sometimes even our own family. So that's why he kept me secluded from everybody. And even in the little people that were allowed to be around me, they were dying for me to mess up. They were trying hard. Let's go do this. Let's go so you can meet somebody. I said, no. I said, God has somebody for me, you know, and I just stood with that. Oh, your children are saying this. It's okay. God is going to restore my family. You know, I didn't care what they said because I remember what my father said. And yeah, I'm not saying there's times that it didn't, that you're kind of like, well, you know, is this really going to happen? That's the enemy. That's not God. And he takes you back to reality that he is the way, he is the truth, he is the vine, you know. Number 2, stop trying to impress people. Trying to impress everyone. You had to remember when we were down in our luck, they paraded. They paraded when we were in sin, because then you don't get blessed. You don't finish your course. You don't do what God destined you to do. You know? And you got to remember that. People that say they're for you, they really aren't. You know, so don't try to say, prove to them this. You know, I'm easily here with my children, and I could say so much to them. But I always tell them, when God says I can, I will. You know, they're going to know here soon. The actions and what's about to happen, they're going to be like, whoa, Mom. Like, wow. And then it kind of makes sense to them, because God was with me before this happened, and they seen the miracles and blessings that he did. They'll be like, Mom, how did you do that? I said, it wasn't me, it was God. It was God in me. It's a power that I walk in, but it's not mine, it's his. Because God gives and God takes it away. He made my crooked place straight. I was in the world lost, and he made my crooked path. And people tarnished me. People tore me down. People judged me because based on what they said, and they never gave me a chance. They assumed what people were saying was true. And they didn't. And even my enemies out there, they were like, hey, you're cool. You know, you're actually not that bad. You know, but it's only what they had heard, so they thought, oh, it must be true. You know, that's how rumors get started. That's how gossip starts. It's people that are miserable. People that are miserable that just want to destroy somebody that they see potential in them. Because trust me, if they didn't, they would say, we got this. She's going to bring herself down. But if you're working so hard to put overtime to bring me down, to bring you down, they know. They know. And here we are. You know, continue on your journey. Don't give room to the enemies. Don't give room to the devil, because the Father already gave you the win-win. It's a win-win for us. There's no losing in us. He is the way. He's already made it. We just have to continue on this journey in patience. 3, let yourself hope in God. Let yourself hope in God. If we hope and we put our trust in people, what do you think they're going to say? Dude, it's not true. Not going to happen. God didn't use you. Are you kidding me? You were out there in the world. He's not going to use you. I was in the world, but now I'm saved. You know? Now. So yes. So they're not going to understand what they don't believe. But you know, if you're being attacked the way you are, you have to believe that God's plans are bigger than what you think. The enemy knows. That's why they fight you. The haters know. That's why they talk shit. That's why they do rumors. So you know you're doing something right. You know, they don't give up because they're angry because you haven't given up. I haven't given up. I'm not going to give up. Is there days that are hard? Yes. Hard because you want it now. You're all like, okay, I have been waiting. You know, okay, well, there's a reason, the wait behind it. He's positioning people as he's going. You're preparing the way for the Lord. I'm preparing the way for the Lord. You know, the victory is ours. It's a win-win. You know, just hang in there. Know what heaven started, heaven will finish. He said, fear not, little flocks. It is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. 4, it says, identify your life needs and focus. What do you need? Needs. You don't go out there and sin. That's not a need for your calling. If you're going to get focused in the things in the world, that's not going to help you. Identify what's important. Going out there, having drinks with friends and all that, yeah, it seems good. Don't get me wrong. Along this way, I'd be like, Father, wine? Oh, yeah, it didn't happen. I didn't get permission. But I thought about it, you know, but at home maybe. But, nah. I'm going to celebrate. I'm already celebrating because I know who my Father is, you know. Just remember that. Now I'm going to read 4 and on. Again, he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones, and say to them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord the God unto the bones, behold, I will cause the breath to enter into you, and you shall live. That's coming from the darkness and into the light. That means you're coming from losing your soul and your soul being restored. But you have to put in work. Just like you put in work out there, not even thinking. And I'm going to say this, that I didn't think we realized. I know I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know. You know, but I know now. You know, and I learned in this journey that the enemy will do anything to pull you back so you could lose your soul. Don't do it. They're not worth it. They know their end is coming in the darkness. They know that. So they want you not to, so you don't finish your course. What's more important? You, your family, your calling, your wife, your husband, your children, our Father Jehovah, King Jesus. What's your priorities? Now it says, and I will lay dews upon you, and I will bring up the flesh upon you, and cover you with the skin, and put the breath in you, and you shall live, and you should know that I am the Lord. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and I said, prophesied that there was a noise, and behold, the shaking of the bones came together, bones to his bones. He started putting us together. And he made this bones into army. You know, that song, Grave of Gardens, a very beautiful song. You turn bones into army. They go, nah, 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 nah. I love that song. Just saying. Anyways, he says, and when I beheld, lo, the snooze of the flesh came upon them. The skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them. We were dead. You might not think so. We were dead because of sin. And the enemy knew that. You know, believe it or not, any time that the beginning of the journey, I didn't know what was going on. And we were trying to leave, me and my son. And I thought about a rehab center. Walking out, this guy comes running after us with a box full of drugs. Come on, stay. Don't go. Don't go. I have here a bunch of drugs with you. You know, I said, no, thank you. No, thank you. And we took off, you know, and we were actually waiting on my daughter-in-law to get us a room so we could shower, and then we were going to go into a rehab center. And she never answered. So we stood outside. You know, I tried to break into a car. Don't do it. You know, it was cold. I was cold. I was tired. I had been sleeping outside forever. And I was trying to break into this truck that was actually for sale. I wanted just somewhere warm to sleep at. So I ended up sleeping behind the truck, and I put a bunch of boxes on me to keep myself warm because I was cold, you know. And we had no plan. We hadn't picked out a rehab center, you know, and she didn't answer, so everything went south, you know, and we went back. We went back. Everybody's like, whoa, you're back, you know what I'm saying? That's what they wanted. Even though I didn't go back to sin again, I went back because, what do you know? I've never been homeless. Ever in my life have I ever been homeless. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. You know? So you go back to where you know homeless are sleeping at. You go out there where I was sleeping at on the floor. Do you know what I'm saying? So you get comfortable with what it used to. Okay, well, what I didn't know what to do now. And there was a lot of options. But you don't think that at the time, so you go back to what's comfortable. You go back to what you know. All right, well, I've been here. I got to know some people. I'm okay here. I was in the lion's den. I was in the lion's den. And I had no clue what I was around. I was a lamb around wolves. And I didn't know. You know, and as I went along in this journey, I learned. So my father said, hey, you know now. Like you know now. They want nothing but to drag you to the pit of hell. They dug a pit for us. And we were diving in there at first. Hey, you know what? Let's get high. Shit, I don't care. I didn't care. I had given up. My ex-boyfriend at the time, my now fiance, you know, had really tore me. You know, our breakup, everything just finished it off for me. Everything. Me losing my kids, our relationship, you know, it was too much that I gave up. You know, so I'm here to tell you, you know, there is a way. You know, when I left that place, I started going to shelters, being transferred from shelters to shelters, you know. Sorry. Just know that there's always a way. Don't go back to what you're used to because that's what they want you to do. Go back to what you're used to, what you're comfortable with. But that's the pathway to hell. If it's easy, it's not good. If it's hard, then you know you're destined for greatness. Don't settle. Don't settle. Don't settle for nothing in this world other than God's purpose, your purpose. Because the land of the living, the land flowing with milk and honey is at our feet. We're at the end times. And this is to tell you to keep on your toes. We had to walk. You know what he was waiting on? He was waiting on me. He was